There is a tiny window in your day where your old self is about to take over. And this tiny window can actually repeat throughout your day. I'd actually assert that it does. And if you can catch it in real time, you can literally change your behavior on the spot. So most people think that change happens through some huge breakthrough, right? And it definitely can in terms of awareness, right? And I'm a big believer that change is a function of perception, not a function of time, right? But that's another video. So most people think that change happens through some huge breakthrough, and it doesn't. A lot of the time, change happens in a tiny, almost invisible window right between the impulse and the action. And if you can catch that window, because sometimes you're not aware of it. So step one is actually becoming aware of it. And I'll give you an example what I mean here in a moment. But if you can catch that window, you can start changing your life in real time. And I just did it, right? Because what I've been noticing lately is that I'll get caught in a pattern. And it's not because I consciously chose it, right? Or choose it, but because my nervous system is so used to it. And it's like there's like a path in a field, and every time you walk that same route, it gets more reinforced. And you can start telling like on the field, like a grass, like a lawn, like where kids are walking through it, right? You know? And for the brain, it's like it becomes easier and easier to go that way. And not even easier and easier, it's actually more dangerous than that. It becomes automatic. It becomes less conscious. And I truly believe that's how a lot of our lives are built, not through choice, but through repetition. And the wild part is intelligence alone doesn't save you from that. You can understand the pattern and still run in it. You can know better and still do the same thing, right? I'm sure we're all guilty of that. I think that's where, excuse me, I think that's where a lot of our shame comes from. But this isn't always about logic, it's about conditioning. So the real question becomes, how do you stay flexible enough to change? And forgive me, I've been talking all day. How do you avoid becoming so rigid that your old patterns just become so automatic that it feels like you're on autopilot? Because that's something I care deeply about. I never want to become so fixed that I lose the ability to change quickly. I want to keep that adaptability. I really like that word. I want to keep that adaptability alive. I want to stay someone who can notice a pattern and shift immediately if need be. And I had a moment recently that made this really real for me. About 30 minutes ago, I finished with my last client and I had this impulse, right? I was like, there's all this work that I didn't get to take care of during the day because it was so heavy operationally. Like there was just call, 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 and all of this to-do list just got bigger and bigger, but there was really no window for me to take care of it. So I was like, oh, last client, let me go play some video games, right? And then I'll just take care of it. It's like 4 o'clock right now. I'll just take care of it at like 8 or something like that, right? I'll go play video games for an hour. Then I'll go on I'll go get some sun for an hour. Then I'll go get something to drink for an hour. And then I'll just lollygag for an hour. And then I'll finally get to it, right? Now, normally, it doesn't sound like a big deal, right? It's probably how a lot of us are living, right? But I had 2 clients I needed to take care of. And I know how this pattern goes. I'll tell myself I'll do it later. And then I'm only half enjoying the game while I'm playing it because it's hanging over me. And then I interrupt myself, in my rest to go handle the thing I should have just handled earlier. And this is not about laziness. It's a pattern. And this time, right I was about to, I literally was like, got off the call and I was like, it was so easy because I was like, I'll just go into the pattern that I've been going into. And I was so aware of it. I was just like, wait, I'm seeing it play out in front of me. And I just immediately turned and looked at the wall, right? Blank wall behind me. There's a blank wall right here. Immediately turned and looked at it and just didn't move until like this impulse started lowering. And then I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of these clients now. Not that it's not taking care of them if it's done in 4 hours, it doesn't matter. But I was like, let me just take care of it now because then it takes care of me. And if I'm taken care of, I can always take better care of my clients, right? So, that's what I did. I noticed myself about to do the thing, and instead of continuing automatically, because it was automatic, I just stopped, stared at the wall. That was it. No productivity hack, no deep ritual, no motivational speech, just a little pattern interrupt. And in that pause, I broke the momentum of the old behavior. And it's kind of like a body in motion tends to stay in motion, right? So it's like a pattern in motion tends to stay in motion, right? So I was like, let me break this pattern by just shifting motion, just like momentum, right? What is it? The law of inertia? What is Newton's law? What is it? I forgot. Someone remind me. But body in motion tends to stay in motion unless acted upon by another body or whatever it is. You guys know what I'm saying. So that was it. I became aware of it because before I haven't been aware. I've just automatically go and it's not even conscious. But now I'm like, oh wait, it's happening again. No, no, stop, stare at the wall, and just waited. I just waited. However long you need to wait for that impulse to just, it doesn't need to go all the way down. Maybe you just see it go from here to here. Maybe it doesn't move. Maybe it stays here. Maybe it goes up. But just stay in that. Don't stimulate. Just stay looking at the blank wall, right? And I feel like that's the part that most people miss. Like, you don't always need so some massive transformation to change your life. Sometimes you just need enough awareness to interrupt the pattern before it fully takes over. And that pause can create enough space. And in that space, you can get your power back. Because when you're unconscious, the pattern runs you. But when you become conscious, you can choose. And I think that's what so much real growth actually is. It's not about becoming perfect. It's not never feeling the pull of your old habits, but becoming aware fast enough that you don't have to obey them. And that's freedom. Not that they're not existent, but that they exist and you can choose, right? So it's like, to me, it's just like, and that's really what I think freedom is, especially the more that I learned from Jiddu Krishnamurti and Peter Crone, right? Is that freedom isn't the absence of the thing, right? In this example, it's not the absence of conditioning. It's the ability to notice it without actually acting on it and like becoming it, right? So if you've been hard on yourself because you keep repeating the same loops, maybe the answer isn't to shame yourself more. Maybe the answer is to get better at spotting the window, that small moment where the behavior is starting but it hasn't fully taken over yet. Because I'm telling you, that window is everything. And that's where, you know, lives change. That's where self-respect gets built. That's where you prove to yourself that you're not stuck. You're just patterned. And patterns can be interrupted. And once they're interrupted enough times, they stop owning you and you start forming a new pattern. So lately, that's what I've been focused on, not becoming some perfect machine, just staying flexible, staying aware, and protecting my ability to change in real time. Because the moment you can catch yourself in the act is the moment you could start going in a different direction and solo your life.